one of my favorite books is The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz. And
great book.
And I'm sure that, and obviously Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I can't say enough about Kiyosaki and his books. And, Second Chance is one of my favorites, and Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. Just all of those books. Everybody should be reading those books. And that comes down to, Mike, we tell people the reason people don't get into real estate or something else is they hear the noise of, well, I don't want to replace toilets, and I don't want to paint walls. And I tell them, I have properties I've never seen. I have property managers I've never met, and that just do a good job, and the check just shows up. But what do you have to know to get out of that reassuring lie line, which is the Wall Street line, to get in? And you said start small, but what book would you read, or what is there any real estate classes out there that you'd recommend, or is there anything that your group does?
Obviously, going back to the late 90s when I first started getting interested in real estate, and then early 2000s with Kiyosaki, I didn't have podcasts. We didn't have all this stuff. Everything's so available on the internet. Back then, you'd have to go to Barnes & Noble and read, how to be a good multifamily manager and all these books that are more technical but good. And then you saw a lot of it. And for me, I started apartments because I didn't even know what a mobile home park was.
Right.
We'll get into that in a second. But I think it's just getting as much knowledge, listening to podcasts like yours, going to these conferences. I was a conference junkie. I just wanted to learn because you're never taught that in school. Nobody's going to sit down and really mentor you on that. There's very few people that do it well. And so you just got to keep going. And I find no matter what podcast, no matter what conference, you always get one or two things that make a big difference in your life. So that's what I encourage people, education. And you're going to have to do it on your own because you're not going to get it from somebody else. Learn as much as you can. One of the programs that I would strongly recommend, it's called valuehoundacademy.com is the website. And Craig has a program on how to raise money. And that's where, if you're going to get bigger in this business and you're going to take opportunities, you did an awesome thing after the recession of 2008. That's when the opportunities were. And I did the same thing. I was able to do it in mobile home parks. But, there's another recession coming at some stage here. If it's this year, next year, whatever, who knows how bad it's going to be. Debt's at an all-time high again. You just don't know what's going to trigger it or how it's going to happen. But it's coming, and really we need a recession. Prices have gotten way too high again. It feels like 2007 to me all over again. People are, there's a lot of money chasing too few deals, chasing yield. So if you can get prepared now, get as educated as you can possibly be, and then be ready to go. And especially if you have some money available for you, that makes it even better and allows you to get bigger quicker.
I love what you just said there too, is because sometimes people jump into things and timing is everything. So I'm 100% with you that there's a recession coming sooner rather than later, and in the next few years. And I think it's going to be bigger than the 2008 because of where we are as a country. But when opportunities come up, cash is king.
Yep.
And we've talked a little bit about infinite banking and having this money pool that you can deploy and go out and invest in things like mobile home parks and real estate, et cetera. But so you got to have the cash ready. And if all your money's in Wall Street and you're gonna and your money's gonna be impacted, well, then you can't take the money out of Wall Street, especially when it's down, and then go put it into a different sector where there's opportunity. So when I think of that, I think that's perfect. Educate yourself now. Be ready to take action. And the reason people don't do that is Bertrand Russell, he has a famous quote of 85% of the people would rather die than think.
Yeah, that's a great quote, actually, but very true. And I think the number is higher than that, to be honest with you. But
I think you're right. I think, Thomas Edison said 5% of people think, 10% think they think, and 85% would rather die than think. So he kind of put a twist on it. But, when you think about that, what are some of the fears that you see when people say, well, Mike, okay, yeah, you did it. But man, you know, I don't know if I could do it, or they don't have the confidence, or they, you know, what advice, I mean, other than you, and you gave some great advice, which is kind of take action, right?
Yeah.
But is, if I were going to, where do I look for a mobile home park opportunity?
Well, let me take a step back for talking about taking action. Really, when you're taking action, I always look at it. I'm a sports guy, so played a lot of sports and a big sports guy now. But it's really about prepping for the game. You know, you do all your preparation and you practice by reading the books and going and talking to people. And like here in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live now, we have the, you know, Triangle Apartment Association, where I went to those meetings just to try to get a feel for what people were doing. I did it back in Orlando too. So get your preparation, which allows you to make taking action a lot better. And if you sort of start small initially, it's hard to make a big mistake. And the one thing I would tell people, and I've migrated to this over time in real estate investing, is stick to the bigger metros. You typically want to be, you know, 20 minutes outside of the metro, just where it's growing out to that. You don't want to be in a one-person town or, you know, one company town out in the middle of nowhere. That's where you could make a mistake if that company leaves. I made that mistake early on. I was lucky to get out of it. But if you stick to the major metros, Tampa, Orlando, Chicago, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, whatever it is, wherever you're located, it's really hard to go wrong now. I think that the move to the cities is going to continue to be big. And the younger people, it's still renter nation, even though home ownership's ticking up a little bit. They just don't have any money. So if you start in that area and just take the plunge and try to buy something small and get your feet wet and then get ready to raise some money.